Hello, I am a retired math teacher. My teaching experience exceeds 40 years, specialized in mathematics. The aim of these videos is to help students, especially in the high school, in particular the HSC students, learning maths and achieving the best result they can. We start with the first topic, factorization. As I have printed out here my own work for factorization hints, the following simple steps may be used when factorizing algebraic expressions. Look for the highest common factor, which could be numbers or letters or both. So first thing we have to do is to look for the common factor, the highest common factor. Second step, write down the common factors from step 1, or the highest common factors actually from step 1, followed by a pair of grouping symbols. And in the third step, that's supposed to be third step, examine the rest of the expressions, the algebraic expressions, for classification. So we need to classify it. It could be one of the following categories. And what I mean by algebraic expressions is any combinations of terms including letters. The categories we have, the expression could be a quadratic trinomial, which has 3 letters. In general, we write it as ax squared plus or minus bx plus or minus c. Or it might be the difference of 2 squares, like a squared minus b squared. Or it probably be the difference or sum of 2 cubes, a cube plus or minus b cube. Let's look at an example. The first example says factorize this quantity, this trinomial. It's a quadratic trinomial because the highest power is the 2 on the x. So when we examine this one, we can find that the highest common factor is 4, because 4 is the highest common factor of 24, 28, and 20. So what we have to do is to write that number 4 at the front, followed by 2 brackets or one pair of brackets. We open brackets and then we close the bracket at this end. And then what we have to do, we need to divide 24 by that common factor of 4, from which we get 6. So we write 6 here, followed by x squared. Then we copy this sign in here, plus, and then we divide 28 by 4, we get 7, and we write here 7x. Then we copy the minus from the expression into that space, and then we divide 20 by 4, we get 5, and the result will be reduced to this form, as you can see. Now, the next thing we need to do is to look at the expressions in between the 2 brackets. The expression in the brackets, in the pair of brackets, is a quadratic one, due to the existence of x squared. Therefore, we need to open 2 pairs of brackets as follows. So we copy the 4 there, and then we open 2 pairs of brackets, as you can see in this line here. Now, the idea now is to factorize the quadratic expressions above, which is 6x squared plus 7x minus 5. To do that, we need to only focus on the first term, which is 6x squared, first, and then the last term. The the first term, which is 6x squared, we can factorize it as 3x and 2x, because 3x times 2x equals 6x squared. Then we look at the last term, which is 5. Then we factor as 5 as 5 times 1, because this is the only way to factorize it. Now, we then place them inside the grouping symbols as follows. So we copy the 4 again, and we put 2x in as the first term in the first pair of brackets, and then we put 3x as the first term in the second pair of brackets, and we put 1 in as the second term here, and 5 as the second term in the second pair of brackets. Right, with regard to the signs, we need to look at the first expression here, the one in the brackets, sorry, this one here, and we know 6 has a positive and invisible positive sign. We multiply that sign by this sign. Plus times plus is plus. So we put plus either here or there. We can put it here. Now, and we multiply this middle plus by this minus, we're going to get a minus. We can put that minus either in the first grouping symbols set or in the second grouping symbol set, because we are going to check our work now. What will happen? We're going to multiply these two terms together, which will give me minus 3x, and these two terms together gives me plus 10x. Minus 3x plus 10x is actually plus 7x, which is the middle term in this trinomial. Therefore, our work is correct. Now, we can show this in more details. As we can see here, the plus and the minus signs are obtained as follows. Multiply the plus sign of 6x squared, which is invisible, by the plus sign of 7x to get a plus. Now multiply the plus sign of 7x by the minus sign of minus 5 to get a minus. And we place these two signs in the two pairs of grouping symbols as we've seen in the previous steps here. Now, as a finally, if you place the negative sign between 2x and 1 in the first pair of grouping symbols, then place the negative sign in between 3x and 5 in the second pairs of grouping symbols, and try the following simple test. Now that's what we have achieved for this trinomial. Forget about the 4 which is outside, it's not written here. So if we multiply minus 1 by 3x, we're gonna get minus 3x. And if we multiply 2x times 5, we will get plus 10x. Now, if we add 10x plus 10x minus 3x, we're gonna get plus 7x. And when we look back at the original, at the equation, at the expression we got in here, we see that the middle sign, the sign of the middle term is plus 7. Therefore, our work is definitely right because we got plus 7x here, which is the middle term of this expression. Therefore, the factorization is correct. That's the first example. And in the second example, you have in the second example 2b squared minus half. Now here there is this one, since the common factor is not so obvious, also the expression is only a binomial. Therefore, the only way to treat it is as the difference of two squares, which is a squared minus b squared. However, the only perfect square is b squared. So we need to provide another perfect square next to it. The only way to do so is to think of the fraction quarter. This can be achieved from knowing that 2 times a quarter is a half. 2 times a quarter is a half. This should be a half. We then consider 2 as a common factor, and the binomial above will be converted to 2b squared minus half will be 2b squared minus 2 times half, which is 2 times a quarter, that should be a quarter. Therefore, we take the 2 outside as a common factor, we end up with b squared minus a quarter. And now we can factorize this binomial as difference of two squares. We get the square root of b squared, which is b in both group and symbol set, and square root of a quarter is a half, and we have to put a minus and plus. That's a final form of the factorization. Thank you for listening, and I need your comments. Thank you.